Today I'm going to show you how easy it is to work with Firebase's Firestore. Now I'm going to skip creating an actual Firestore database. You most probably already know that, and also you most probably know how to get to the documentation of Firebase's Firestore on iOS part. You can read all about that, but today I am going to show you what I usually teach on my mentoring sessions to students who ever want to learn about Firebase's Firestore. If you want to join one of these sessions, go ahead and check out rebeloper.com/mentoring. If you want to learn about iOS development, Swift, SwiftUI, or even Firebase, go ahead and check that out. So today I'm going to share with you what I teach to create really reusable and useful calls to the Firestore. We are going to continue on our project right over here that I have created. Go ahead and check out the link in the description is there for the playlist. We just covered authentication and users. Today we are going to start up with Firestore. And one thing to note here is that you do need to add Firestore. You can just do that by adding a new package dependency, or if you have already done that, just click over here and just search for Firestore. And I'm going to use the Firebase Firestore package and also the Swift one. I'm going to show you in just a second why I'm using that. So Firebase Firestore Swift. So Firebase Firestore Swift added to your project. And I have gone ahead and created this Firestore context file and added this get quire because it's getting, as you can see, it's a little bit complicated to just and time consuming just type all of this out. I'm just going to explain this when we are getting to the queries. But before we do that, let me just talk about how Firestore just basically the CRUD operations work. So we are just creating, that's fine, we have collections and then we are creating documents inside those collections and they do have a UID. Now when we are doing the other stuff like updating, deleting, or just reading that data, that document, I would say, not querying or reading that document or updating or deleting, we do need that UID. So as a best practice, what I do is have a UID also as a key value pair on my model. Therefore, I just want to enforce that, so I create a protocol for that. Let me just create that real quickly right over here. A Swift file. I'm usually calling it Firestorable. There we go. And it's pretty straightforward. It's a protocol, Firestorable, and it requires an UID. It will be an optional string, and let's just have there that our getter and setter, just like that. So this is our protocol. If we are going to create a model, then we are going to have this Firestorable added to them, which means that we do have to have a UID as a key value pair on that model. Okay, so coming back to the Firestore context, let's start by adding, importing some frameworks right over here. Let's import, first of all, Firebase Firestore, that's right. And then let's import Firebase Firestore, come on, Firebase Firestore Swift. So yeah, those two are important. We can just start typing out. Now, the first thing is what you want to do is a CRUD operation is the creation part. Now, we want this to be universal. So whatever model we want to, we could create it right over here. So for that, we are going to use generics. Go ahead and check out my other video on generics. Just search for YouTube Rebeloper generics and you will find that. It's really powerful. So we are going to have a generic called type T, and it has to be codable, Yeah, when we are going to decode and encode stuff, so that's why it has to be codable, and it has to be this fire storable, what I was talking about. So it needs to adhere that it has to have a UID key value pair, and also because we are going to query, it has to be equatable. So at equatable. So your modules have to be codable, fire storable, and equatable. That's the minimum requirement. Now, what we want to do is, of course, create. So this is a struct. We are going to create static functions. And also, we might not care about the result that we are getting back on those static functions. We maybe just want to create and just leave it like that. Therefore, we are going to have a discardable result. So let's just start typing out discardable result. There we go. Static func, and then we just type out create. And what do we want to create? Let me just add those two brackets so we can just worry about the parameters. Okay, it's not returning something at the moment, but we will. So we are going to create a document of type T, decodable, fire storable, and equatable. And we are going to create it at a certain collection. So I usually just go on the top level collection path. I find it really, really useful not having collections inside collections inside collections. So this is really, really helpful right over here, because we are going to have a collection path of type string. There we go. And we are going to use the async await functionality. It's just going to async and throw some errors if there are any. Now this will also return something, and it will return T, so the actual document that we created. Again, if you don't really care about that, it is the discardable results function, so you may just disregard it. Okay, so let's create this. So we have our document, we have our collection path. Next, we want to create a reference. So let reference equals, now firestore, there we go, firestore. This is basically your data collection, your database, and we are going to get to the collection. So dot collection, here we have a collection path is needed, so we just pass along the collection path, and then in this case we are just creating a new document. So we just say document, and that is our reference to it. Now, I told you that we also need a UID, and we don't really know the UID until we are going to save it. And actually, we are going to grab the UID from the reference. Now, here's how to do that. First of all, we want to create an updated document. So basically a variable from the document where what we passed along, so we can just update its content. So we will say updated document dot, you see, because it needs to adhere to the fire storable, it does have a UID string property. We are going to set it right now. But what is that UID, the key for that document? Well, it comes from the reference dot document ID. It's as simple as that. Now we have access to that UID. Now it's time to save it. So we are just going to try reference dot set data, and we're just going to set data from this throwing function, and not with the merge. We are going to talk about the merge when we are updating. Currently we're just going to go with from, and as you can see, it has to be encodable, which it is, and we are going to say updated document. And in some cases, we might want to know what we actually created, maybe get access to the UID, maybe that we just added. So we are just going to return with that updated document. So not just document that we just added into this function, the updated document. That's it. That's easy as that. So now when we are just going to, create, we just do, just initialize our document with a model that has to be codable, firestorable, equatable, and then we call firestore context.create that document at the collection path. That's it. It's one liner. It's really, really simple. Okay, so this is how we are creating. Now, what about updating stuff? So I'm just going to copy out this long line so I don't have to type everything out. What we are going to change is update the document at the collection path, and this doesn't have to be asynchronous, it's just going to throw. Now, we might get an error because maybe this document will not have a UID. So this will return an optional document, so an optional codable, firestorable, and equatable. So you will understand in just a second. Let's just start typing out. So how do we actually update? Well, we grab our reference and grab the document with the UID, with a particular UID at that reference, and then we just update. So we need that UID. This is, the very first example why we actually do need a UID. And that should be on the document. So first of all, we make sure that we have one. So guard let UID equals document dot UID, else we are going to return nil. So no t is going to be, well, actually a nil value will be returned. So now we want to grab the reference. So let reference equals firestore dot collection at that collection path. Okay, now we are actually going to grab that document, add that UID, and set that new data. So how do we do that? It's going to be a throwing function. So I have try over here. We just go a reference, and you just type out document, and we have two of them. You saw the first one earlier. We are going to grab a document at the document path, which is our UID. So there we go. We just pass that along, and then we just set the data from and merge. So from our document, this will be the change document with the changes already, and we set the merge to true. Now, what this will do is basically change only the things that need to be changed. So that's how we just update. We set the merge on the set data to true. And of course, we return the document if we are interested in it. It is again a discardable result, so maybe we are not going to be interested in it. So that's how we update. Now, how do we actually grab our data? I'm calling it read, so let's just copy all of this out, paste it in there, and let's call this a read. And we are not going to read a document. That's what we are getting back optionally. Yeah, we might not get back a document basically. And also this is going to be async. Now, we are going to read a document at a certain UID. So right over here, we are going to have a UID of type string. So we need to provide that UID and of course the collection path. So let's create our reference. Let reference equals firestore dot collection at the collection path. And now we are going to use again that UID, but I'm going to just return instantly what we are going to get. So return try, because it might fail, it might throw some error. Try await. It is an asynchronous function. Reference dot document, again we are specifying that we should get this document at this particular UID. There we go, .uid. And then we are going to say get document as. This is really, really powerful. This comes from the Firebase Firestore Swift library, by the way. So that get document as, we have to have a decodable type right over here. So we're just going to say t.self It's really, really powerful that now we can just have all of these generics and we can just use this read function on, any model that is codable, firestorable / equatable. Okay, so that is a read functionality. Next comes finally the delete functionality. So let me just grab this one and paste it over there again and rename this to delete. There we go. Delete the document, and yeah, it might throw again, we need that UID, so it might throw an optional nil. So first of all, we need that UID, so let me just copy and paste that in there. We are going to get that reference again, so again I can just copy this out with that collection path, and now we want to delete at that particular UID. This again, it's an asynchronous. Well, actually, yeah, we are going to do this on a task, so we are not going to add that asynchronous keyword right over here. Let's just have a task right over here, and then try await reference dot, and you just type out delete. Oh, sorry, a document. First, we have to have our document reference document at that UID. Let's see, UID, and then just call delete. There we go. And finally, we are just going to return our document. Again, this is a discardable result. It's as simple as that. Really, really nice. So now that we have the basic CRUD operations ready, let's talk about querying, because this is just playing with one document. What Firebase is really powerful is fetching multiple of these documents. So let me just uncomment this, what we are going to use as a helper function. Basically, what this does is just creates a query at that path. So this is our collection with that path, and then goes through all of these query predicates that we might add. This is again from the Firebase Firestore Swift library, and you can just add is equal to, is in, is not in, all of these cases you may add, and it's an array. So as you can see, the predicates is an array, so you can have multiple of these. And basically what this for in loop does is just adds the where field modifier to our query, and then just returns the completed query. Okay, so that's our private function, because we just want to have this not accessible only to our files. So let me just create our query. So I'm just going to type this out. So the discardable result static func, and I'm going to call this query, and then the collection path that will be of type string, and then we just pass along the predicates. Let me just copy these out right over there. Okay, this will be an asynchronous throwing function, and it will actually return now an array. So an array of t's. Now, if there aren't any documents available for your predicates or inside your collection path, then it will return an empty array, which is, obvious. So let's create our query. Let me just move this a little bit up. Let query equals, well, we have to specify that this is of type query, and that is a get query at the path. Well, that's our collection path, and the predicates, we just pass them along. Predicates, there we go. So now that we have our query, we can get our snapshot. Let snapshot equals try await. There we go. Query dot get documents. It's as simple as that. So we are getting the documents for that query basically. Now we need to move these documents into our model, that is our T. So we just say let documents equals snapshot dot documents dot compact map, and I'm just going to go through all of the documents one by one. Here we have our document. There we go, document in. I'm going to go through all of my documents and then try to put this into our T. So document dot data as our T dot self. Now this data as again comes from the Firebase Firestore Swift. It's really, really handy. Okay. And then we have our array of documents from our snapshot. All we have to do is just return our documents. Now, again, this is a discardable result. Maybe we shouldn't add that as a discardable result. Yeah, let's just remove that. Okay, so this query will grab all of our documents that are inside this collection path and adhere to the predicates that we have set. But maybe there are a ton of these, like 1,000, 10,000 of these documents. What we want to know and learn how to actually paginate this fetch. And it's quite complicated. There are solutions in the documentation for Firebase, but don't really have an actual code to just grab and put into your project. Now we are going to do that. So I'm going to create another query function. Let me just copy this out and just add some extra stuff for the how this would work. And how does this work? Well, we are going to need to have a state variable on our view that is storing the last document snapshot. And basically on the predicates, we actually do need to set up a limit. That's obvious. We want to set up a limit of, 10. And then after we fetch those 10, the last document snapshot should be saved into that state variable. So when next time we are going to fetch, we should use that last document snapshot and start off with that, and then start with that, fetch the next 10, and again save that last document snapshot. And this is how it's just going to paginate through all of the basically documents that can be returned for that query at the collection path and predicates. Okay, so last document snapshot. We want to append it right over here. So last document snapshot. And because we are just moving things around inside the last document, if I could just type that out correctly, we want to have this as a state variable. Therefore, here we are going to have a binding. We do need to import SwiftUI for that. So SwiftUI, there we go. And I think this will be a document snapshot, and it will be optional because by default, starting value of our state variable will be nil. There isn't a last document snapshot before the first fetch. Okay, so let's start typing all of this out. First of all, we want to have our query. That's the same what we did previously. So I'm just going to copy and paste it. Now, we want to check if this last document snapshot is nil or not. So if last document snapshot equals last document snapshot dot wrapped value. So if this is basically not nil, it has the wrapped value. If let last document snapshot equals last document, so then we are going to say to the query, I'm just going to have this query created, but I'm going to append something to it. So we are going to say query dot start after document, and then we get our last document snapshot. So this will make sure that it's going to start only after that last document snapshot. Okay, so that's kind of the trick over here. So let's just get our snapshot. Let snapshot equals try await query dot get documents, and Basically it's kind of the same. We're just going to grab all of our documents from that snapshot. And before we return, let me just paste that also in there. Before we return our documents, we want to update the last document snapshot. So what we do is just call last document snapshot dot wrapped value equals our snapshot dot documents dot last. So this is how we just, increment, basically update our last document snapshot. So at the next query, it will start after that. Basically, that's it. This is how easy it is to have CRUD operations and also queries, even paginated queries with Firebase. Again, make sure that you have your models codable, firestorable, and equatable, and then just create, update, read, and delete. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, go ahead and also check out rebeloper.com/mentoring, where I teach all of these and even some more about Swift and SwiftUI. I will see you in the next one.